Why can you read? Seriously, stop and think about it. Look around you. There's texts and words everywhere that you can read. Reading feels so normal, so universal, that we often forget something important. For most of human history, almost no one could read. Books were rare, expensive, and locked away in monasteries or royal courts. Only the clergy and nobility were commonly literate, leaving over 90% of the remaining population unable to read. The reason you can read today is because of a machine invented 600 years ago, the printing press. It didn't just change technology, it changed humanity. Today, we're diving into the invention that sparked mass literacy, fueled the Renaissance, spread scientific knowledge, and reshaped the world. But to understand why the printing press was so revolutionary, we need to go back, long before its inventor Gutenberg, to a time when writing itself was a luxury. Writing is one of humanity's oldest technologies. From the 5,000-year-old clay tablets in Mesopotamia to the hieroglyphs of ancient Egypt, to scrolls in Greece and Rome. But for thousands of years, one thing stayed the same. Books had to be copied by hand. A single monk might spend months copying one manuscript. A mistake meant scraping the ink off and rewriting the page. Materials like parchment and ink were expensive, while labor was slow. And so, literacy was limited to the elites: priests, scholars, nobles, and the richest of merchants. If you lived in medieval Europe, owning a book was like owning a sports car today. Most people would never even consider reading one. So this begs the question, if writing existed for thousands of years, why did it take so long for the printing press to appear? Here's the surprising part. The idea of printing wasn't new. China had woodblock printing for currency and court documents by the 700s. Movable bronze type existed in Korea by the 1200s. So why didn't Europe adopt it earlier? Because Europe had a different problem, the metal type. To print a book efficiently, you need hundreds, if not thousands, of tiny metal letters called a type. Each had to be durable, uniform, and pressure resistant, all while still being soft enough to be cast. That required advanced alloy making, precision casting, and tools that simply didn't exist in Europe until the 1400s. All of this combined still required an inventor with a unique background in both metalworking and engineering. Johannes Gutenberg wasn't just the father of printing. He was a metallurgist, an engineer, and problem solver. His father was a local lord and coin minter who likely taught the young Johannes the techniques of metalworking. Johannes never succeeded his father's mint, as his mother was a commoner, which set him on the path of inventing. In his time, he invented a new alloy of lead, tin, and antimony that was both pressure resistant and cast easily, a molding technique that could cast identical letters quickly, and an oil-based ink that stuck to metal. He eventually developed the press-based mechanism adapted from wine presses of the time that could print an entire page at once. It wasn't just one invention that he had created, it was a full printing system, and once that system existed, everything changed. Within decades, printing presses spread across Europe like wildfire. Books that once took months to copy could now be printed in days. Costs plummeted, availability skyrocketed, and suddenly, literacy wasn't just for monks and nobles. Merchants learned how to read, craftsmen learned how to read, and students learned how to read. By the end of the Renaissance, over 60% of men and 40% of women in Western Europe could read. For the first time in history, ordinary people had access to ideas. This wasn't just a shift in technology, it was a social revolution. The printing press didn't just make books cheaper, it allowed mass communication for the first time in history. It kicked off the scientific revolution. Prior to the printing press, science was a solitary pursuit, individuals working towards their own discoveries. They were limited by the slow manual pace of reproducing their works by hand. With the new revolutionary ability to publish and mass-produce their works, scientists could share discoveries faster than ever. Throughout the Renaissance, scientific discovery exploded. Copernicus's heliocentric model, copies of Aristotle's works on math and philosophy spread all throughout Europe, all as a result of printing technologies. Knowledge became cumulative, and science became collaborative. Additionally, printing standardized languages. Printing stabilized spelling, grammar, and vocabulary. A book in Greek could now be printed in English, Italian, and German and still contain the same contents. As a result of this, schools and universities across Europe expanded. literacy rates soared, and people could learn trades, study maps, and read the news. This eventually led to the birth of the modern world: newspapers, novels, scientific journals, political pamphlets, and eventually mass communication. All of it traces its roots to Gutenberg's workshop. So, the next time you pick up a book, read a text, or scroll an article, remember, you're participating in a revolution that began in the 1400s that transformed reading from a privilege into a human right. The printing press didn't just change how we share information, it changed who gets to have that information, and that changes everything. What do you think are the most important inventions in human history? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. If you like this video, be sure to like and subscribe.